Salibonani Makadini, welcome to ZFM Stereo, my station, your station. My name is Tarirone Gitare, and we are here tonight talking about the creative economy, particularly the Zimbabwean creative economy. And today we are being a bit more specific, and we are getting into a topic that is not usually talked about a lot. This conversation is bringing together two fields that rarely speak directly to one another, which is mental health and the creative economy. And our aim is not really to have an academic exchange. We just want to unpack what it really is, what work is being done, and how it ties into our work, into our space as creatives, the artists and practitioners, and to inform policy, of course. We are here, the Zim Creative Economy Conversations, which is sponsored by British Council and the Swiss Embassy through a project called SoCreative eLearning. And in SoCreative eLearning, we are trying to equip the artists that we're working with and anyone else who's interested to just come through and put their career and say, how can I run this artist business like an enterprise? This e-learning course is free, and it can help you to structure your business in a way that makes it more sustainable, because hey, tatambura nema artists asingakwanise kuchengeta mari dzavo, but we have a solution for you. So today, that's supposed to be a drum roll, by the way. We have an exciting guest. She's a dear friend of mine. She's a clinical psychologist and a researcher in global mental health based here in Harare. And her work spans clinical practice, research, community engagement, and always with a focus on making psychological care accessible, culturally grounded, and youth relevant. Tarisai Bere, welcome to Creative Economy Conversations.
Thank you, Tari. Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here today.
It's such a pleasure to finally have you here. And it's always lovely to have conversations with you, because you're one of those people that has opened up my mind to the possibilities of what my mind can do when I take care of it.
Yes.
So thank you so much for being that beacon. And congratulations. You've just celebrated your 50th birthday.
Yes.
Makorokoto.
Takura. Thank you very much.
You look nothing like 50, by the way.
Okay.
And I know at your birthday you shared some 10 lessons.
Yeah.
Would you like to just unpack 2 of those and how they're working for your mental health?
I think 2 big ones would be, I think the one that I shared is lesson number 1 that I've learned from life is that we underestimate ourselves and we let fear take control of our destinies, and we never reach our potential because we're scared of where we come from and who we have defined ourselves as. I'm not good enough, I can't do this, etc. So lesson number 1 for me has been, I come from very humble beginnings. Grew up in Amaveni, went to schools there. I eventually went to Bonda, I think, for my high school. And at the time, I think it was the best, girls' school. Shout out to my Bonda girls. But my beginnings are very humble, Terry. And if I had let my beginnings define me, I wouldn't be where I am.
Absolutely.
So lesson number 1, don't be scared of where you come from. And don't be scared of how awesome you can be.
Wow.
Yeah.
And lesson number 2? Lesson
number 2 is, I think... related to lesson number 1, don't limit yourself. I think I've only started coming out and talking about mental health on radio, TV, now doing a podcast. But I was scared before of the judgment, what people would say. And I've learned that, if you're authentic and true to yourself, nothing can stop you. So lesson number 2, be authentic and stay in your lane and just kick something.
Tadi, you introduced me to the world of mental health.
Yeah.
For somebody who's listening here for the first time, what is it? What is mental health?
Okay. I'm glad you asked, because there is lots of misconceptions about mental health. So I think I will use the WHO definition of mental health, and I like the one that they gave us in 2018. That mental health is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes their abilities, they're able to cope with normal stresses of life, work productively and fruitfully, and then contribute to their communities. Yeah.
That's so good.
So you need to be ticking off those 4 boxes.
Okay.
Yeah, realizing your abilities, coping with normal stresses of life, working and, going to school productively and seeing what you're achieving. So there has to be the fruits of your labor and contributing to your community.
Nice. So when you look at the Zimbabwean creative sector, based on the artists that you listen to, based on my life as your friend,
yeah.
and the theater makers, the storytellers, what do you see from a mental health perspective that the sector itself may not even see clearly?
Yeah, I think going back to the definition for you guys as creatives, you need to have that wellness in order for you to be able to create.
Yeah.
You don't need to be in your head. Otherwise, you won't be able to achieve what you want to achieve. So just having a wellness, a state where you are able to think, create, and share that creativity with the rest of the world. On top of that, you also dealing with your normal stresses of life, which we have plenty of, but also seeing what that creativity is bringing out. So I think what we might overlook would be that wellness that an artist needs in order for them to be able to create and be able to share their creativity with the world that's going to judge them, but also make money out of it.
Yeah.
So I believe that we need to support our artists so that they are able to bring out what their potential as well as their creativity.
So good. Look, economic position yedu sema artists kazhinji kacho is one of the things that brings us to a place where we're not well mentally. How does that show up in mental health outcomes? What does that look like, and how can we deal with something like that?
Yeah, so the financial issue is quite a challenge in Zimbabwe, I think for most of us, more so for the artists. So if you're not getting any money out of what you're making, then that becomes a big stressor. And the way that we see it is that a lot of artists would then now struggle to make ends meet. And when that happens, that predisposes them to depression. Is such a risk factor for depression, not having money and not being able to take care of yourself. So we worry about conditions like depression, which is a mood problem that is seen when someone cannot be happy and they lose interest in the things that they normally enjoy. And when you're an artist, you lose interest and enjoyment in the things that you're doing, you won't be able to produce what you're supposed to produce. So it becomes a vicious cycle where, because you don't have money or you're not making any money, then you have depression and your mood is low. And when your mood is low, you can't create. So it becomes a very negative, vicious cycle that, we need our artists to produce what they can be paid for, so that they are in a state where they will be able to produce more.
So good. And I think what is ironic is some of those tools that the artists create help for mental health.
Yeah, definitely.
So what, how are these, music, dance, and all these artistic expressions are usually cited as protective measures for mental health.
Yes.
What does the evidence actually say? Is it really, and I know you and I worked on a project where we worked with young people, and the findings were really that, look, the creativity helps. So talk to us about that project and how artistic expressions can help towards mental health.
Okay, so the project was Creative Arts Hub,
yes,
where we enrolled, I think it was youth with depression, and we helped them to tap into their talent through music, dance, and other ways of being creative. And what that did to them was that they came from a place where they were depressed, and we knew that, clinically depressed, because we had done the screening and we had seen that they had depression. And being in this space where they could express themselves, find their talent, and just come out and seeing dance, it helped them so much with their moods that after, I think, 12 sessions, we saw that there was great improvement in their mental health. So creative arts is really, really important for mental health, and it's evidence-based that music helps. Not just music, but dance, because then that brings in the physical activity aspect of healing. So when you're physical, depression doesn't stay in your body. Anxiety doesn't stay there. So dance is important. Music is important.
So good.
Yeah.
And it's very important. Dance is important. Music is important just to
Yeah.
alleviate some of the things and the stresses that you're going through as a creative. Not only as a creative, but as an individual. For those of you who are just tuning in, we are on ZFM Stereo, my station, your station, talking about creative economy conversations with our guest, who is a clinical psychologist. Her name is Tarisai Bere. You know, something I struggle with, Tari, is as a creative, I'm expected to take the pain of everybody around me and express it. I'm expected to take the joy of everyone and express it. And have that collective voice of suffering. How do I manage my own interior world? What, because being a cultural vessel comes with its own stress. What advice would you give to me as someone who is meant to be carrying the burdens of everyone's souls?
Yeah. So I think the greatest advice I would give, Tari, is never to give from an empty cup. Your cup has to be full. That means that you have to be well enough in order for you to be able to help others.
Yeah.
So you carry a burden where, when I'm stressed out, I want to switch on my radio and listen to Tariro. But if Tariro is not doing well, then that is not going to help.
Yeah.
So you need to take care of your own mental health, not just mental health, but health as a whole, in order for you to be able to then fill in that gap.
Yeah.
So you're carrying our burdens. Yeah, like I said, if I have a low mood, I want to listen to a nice piece of music, and that does something to me.
Yeah.
It takes me back to happy places. It makes me feel better.
Yeah.
So this is why we have radios in the morning.
Yeah.
It helps with the traffic jam, etc. So that's a huge responsibility that you guys have. And you need to be well in order for you to give. So never give from an empty cup. It's okay for you to step back when you're not in a good space. Take care of yourself and do that as often as you need to in order for you to then share your talent with the rest of the world.
That's such good advice. I will never forget, there's a funeral that I once attended, and we are in between mourning, and somebody comes up to me and says, "Please, can I get a picture?" And I was like, oh my gosh, of all places. So I think also let's be sensitive to where we are. Celebrities, musicians, creatives are humans, just like everybody else. So it's important for us to be sensitive.
Yep.
Which brings us to, the social media and the digital space, right? And we are constantly asked to sell ourselves, to push a certain agenda on the socials. Your image needs to look so well. You're ending up being so vulnerable in front of thousands and thousands of people. What does that kind of sustained self-exposure do to a person psychologically, especially in these digital spaces?
I don't know how you guys do it.
Because you were just complaining how you don't like the camera 2 seconds ago.
No,
And I'm like, wow.
and I had to do my makeup, and you have to constantly look good and present yourself really well. Be mindful of how you carry yourself, even in the public. It's a huge burden, and we see that lots of people were constantly on social media. You do end up having depression and anxiety. And I'm talking about depression and anxiety a lot.
Yes.
Because they are common in Zimbabwe, but those are not the only mental health problems that we have. But they're really common in Zimbabwe. So social media has lots of pressure. You have to look good. You have to post all the time. In order for you to be relevant, you need the likes and the hearts. And if you don't, then it means that you're not doing well enough. So that's lots of pressure. And I feel like, there's no other way of promoting your work, but have work-life balance. So yes, post, but make sure that you're taking care of your mental health at the end of the day. We now also have, on the other side, what we call Facebook or Instagram depression, where people looking at Tariro and how well Tariro is doing will compare themselves with the celebrities and people who are posting on social media, and then they look at their lives and they see their lives as not so well. in such a way that it affects their mood. So yeah, it's both ways. And I feel like, this adds more pressure to you guys who are posting. Yeah. So you're also thinking about ethical things.
Yeah.
What am I saying? Is this
Yes.
ethical? You're thinking about copyrights now. Did I say something that was said before? And is someone going to claim what I've just said? So yeah, lots of pressure. Please take care of yourselves. Work-life balance is important.
Yeah. So you mentioned that there's depression, there's anxiety as a form of mental health. What are the other forms of mental health?
There are quite a number.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a big diagnostic tool, and people don't know that. The other thing about mental health is that we always have ways of describing it in the Shona culture religiously. So depression is one of the common ones. The research that we did about 10 years ago showed that 1 in every 4 adults in Zimbabwe have depression. But most of the time underdiagnosed and not treated. And then depression shows as a low mood for at least 2 weeks. So you can't shake the sadness away. You can't pray it away. It's there. It stays. And then you lose interest or enjoyment in doing the things that you usually enjoy. And then you have low energy. So those 3 symptoms will sort of point to depression. But you need to have more symptoms like lack of sleep, lack of appetite. Maybe you're not eating well or you're overeating. And with the sleeping as well, it's either you're not sleeping or you're oversleeping. And then with depression comes sometimes suicidal thoughts. Yeah, so depression makes you feel helpless and hopeless in such a way that at some point, for some people, and I'm not saying everyone, for some people, then they end up feeling like ending their lives is an option. And we do have suicide rising in Zimbabwe, especially in the younger generation, but we also see it a lot in men. So
Wow.
yeah, men are more likely to complete a plan if they think of taking their lives. So we're seeing that it's been rising a lot lately. And we don't talk about it here, Tari, because it's taboo. You don't talk about suicide. People hide. So it's also underreported.
Okay.
Yeah, so suicide is highly associated with an underlying mental health condition. We also have, I spoke about anxiety. How do you see anxiety? For at least 6 months, you have fear and worry. At some point, you can't control the worry, and you worry a lot about a lot of things. So you're not just worried about your work anymore. You're worried about your baby. You're worried about the neighbors. You're worried about Zimbabwe. You're worried about a lot of things. And if that goes on and you're constantly afraid, then we worry about generalized anxiety disorder. We also have post-traumatic stress disorder. This happens when you've been exposed to something traumatic. So it could be a road traffic accident that you're involved in, or you've seen someone that you love dying. You end up having flashbacks, intrusive memories about it, and sometimes nightmares. So we worry about post-traumatic stress if you've experienced something traumatic, you've witnessed it, or it happened to someone close to you, and then you start having flashbacks, intrusive thoughts, and nightmares. So this can happen to anyone, right?
Yeah.
You're just walking and then you're in an accident, and yeah. What else is common? Oh, so now we're worrying about alcohol and substance use disorders.
Yes.
Yeah. So alcoholism, we socialize alcohol. And there's what we call safe drinking and over drinking.
What is
and
this?
I always laugh because every time I share the safe drinking, people will just complain. Safe drinking is a 6-pack a week, but you're not doing of pints, not the big ones, and you're not doing it all at once. So you have to separate at least 2 pints on Monday, and then you skip Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday, and then Friday 2. That's safe drinking. Anything more than that is overdoing it. Yeah. So yes, another thing that I see is that many people will have an underlying mental health condition, could be our artists, etc.
Absolutely.
And then they don't seek help, or they don't know that this is what they have. They self-medicate. This is how people then end up getting alcoholic or using substances. Yeah, so different substances that we see could be weed. That starts here in the studio because you need to be creative, but then you become dependent.
True, though, right? Anyway.
I don't know. I've heard those stories before. I can only create when I have had a twist. But if then you need that twist every day and it's become a habit and you're dependent on it, yeah, that's what we call substance use disorder. Unfortunately, at some point, these substances can cause psychosis. So now you're seeing things that other people cannot see. You're hearing things that other people cannot hear. Yeah, I suppose ndokushikirwa kwacho, but
But how do you draw the line on? Okay, that's a topic for another day, right? That's a topic.
Yeah, I think that's a big one.
Yeah,
we know that it's a mental health illness because you're ticking certain boxes and it's affecting your functioning.
Okay.
Yeah. But yes, like I said, we have ways of describing these mental health problems in the culture and religion.
Yeah.
Another one that I see as common would be anxiety attacks, right? Someone is hyperventilating, they are panicking, and they faint. I see this a lot during the exams in October. Yeah, that, presents as a demonic attack. So this is why I'm saying that we have different mental health problems that can be explained.
I see.
In other ways. But we need treatment for all of those because most of them are treatable and they'll go away.
Okay. Before we go into the treatment, I wanted to pick your brain on what you talked about and how we can reimagine that, because you rightfully said substance abuse is the norm for some of us in our industry, where for pubs to work, they need creatives to create that atmosphere that allow the drinks to be sold and bought. For festivals to run, a big part of it is the alcohol. How can we move towards sober spaces? Because it's a much needed conversation that needs to be had. Talk to us about how we can inspire curators to start creating sober spaces and the importance of those spaces.
And that's a difficult one. Because in order for you to sell your music, Tari, you need to be in a club and there's alcohol involved. Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's everyone needs to put in some effort, right? From the people who are making the substance, the alcohol, the substances. How do you support the artists in order for them not to use these substances, and maybe use the artists to advertise in a good way, right? So I have been creating and I've been singing, but I haven't been taking any alcohol. There's a time and place for everything, and you're using that information from people who are popular and famous to help others. Yeah, so we need to work together from, I always love that we have big billboards of vape and alcohol, and we don't have the opposite of wellness and a good mental health. So we need to work together so that it works for everyone. Yeah.
Nice. So let's move towards some of the solutions. You talked about treatment. How does that look like? What are the treatments that are available if someone can identify themselves from the symptoms that you mentioned? Yeah,
so it starts from screening. There is screening that can be done online, really. You can Google different screening tools for mental health and start there. If you're concerned, then go and see a practitioner. But we start from screening, then we come up with a diagnosis. Depending on the severity of the condition, you either get talk therapy or you might need medication. In some cases, if it's severe, then you need hospitalization. But we work as a team, right? So if you come to me and I feel like, okay, Tari is just going through stuff and we need to talk about it, then it's talk therapy. But when I feel like, no, this is not affecting the way that she works, it's affecting her function in other areas, then you might need medication and I'll refer you. So we usually work with, as a team of psychologists, psychiatrists, and social workers to reintegrate you into the community, right? When we are done with the treatment.
I've been seeing a lot of rehab centers popping up. Is that now a thing? Is there more access to mental health treatment, or do we still need help in that area?
I think there is more awareness.
Okay.
There is more awareness. Definitely people are warming up to the idea of talking about mental health and getting treatment. I've also seen the rehabs becoming more. So these are places where people can go and, take a break away from the world and try to get in touch with their inner selves and heal before they go back into the communities. Yeah.
Tadi, one thing I know you for is interventions. You have a lot of interventions to try and just make mental health support more accessible.
Yeah.
You talked about the behavioral activation. I know you work with the friendship bench at some point. Can you imagine an intervention for creatives? What would that look like?
Okay, so that would look like an intervention for any one of us.
Okay.
I wouldn't specifically make it for the creatives, but obviously, when it comes to interventions, the space is also very important. So we can think of interventions that can be done at radio stations.
Okay.
That's workplace interventions. What are you doing here in terms of just taking care of everyone who comes here? It could be a singer, it could be a dancer, it could be, So interventions have to be appropriate for the context and they have to be appropriate for the population. So if we're thinking about creatives, I think the first port of call would be for us to provide that space where they can come to and say, I've been creating for the past 24 hours and I'm tired and I feel like I need to talk to someone. And then the screening is done. If they are at a place where they need psychological support, then they get it. So I feel like as you're thinking about supporting, especially young people, my heart is with young people. Also think about what you can do for their mental health in different spaces.
Nice.
So it could be in the studio, it could be, I don't know, where you're going to have your big gigs at the end of the night. Are they okay? Do they feel like they need to take something in order for them to calm down, or do they need to talk to someone? Yeah.
Nice. So I guess we need to just, inculcate, is that the word? When you put it into everything that you're doing.
Yeah, integrate mental health into the work that you're doing. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Talk to us about Out of the Shadows 263 as a creative intervention. I know you like working with young people. Tell us what you're doing with them.
Okay, Out of the Shadows is my podcast. Like I said, I'm coming out of my shell slowly. So it's a podcast that has been sponsored by Science for Africa Foundation. I'm an Amari Fellow. Amari is African Mental Health Research Initiative. They're supporting my PhD. So my PhD is in young people's mental health.
Good.
So I got funding to do this podcast for me to go into the communities and talk to young people just to see what they're going through.
Okay.
So Out of the Shadows really tries to understand risk factors for mental health. And also try to look at protective factors, what's working in our communities that we can tap into. So we've been doing that for the past 2 years. I've been recording. Yeah.
I can tell you're now used to it.
I don't know. Yeah. We've been recording. So with mental health comes obviously the ethics responsibility. I can't just share stuff. I need to make sure that the young people that I talk to are protected, and that I don't have any material there that will put them into trouble.
Okay.
So we are currently just doing the edits and looking at the ethical issues as well. Make sure that when we eventually post on YouTube, we're going to have a YouTube channel.
Okay.
the young people are protected.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll try our best. Yeah. Also, working with different organizations that do youth work. So it could be, I've collaborated with Youth for Youth. I think they do work in substance use in the different communities. I've collaborated with Tarisai Bere.
Who is that lovely lady?
I wonder. And other organizations that are doing work in the communities in different areas to integrate mental health, like we were talking about. So we've reached quite a number of young people, and I'm learning a lot from them. Yeah,
Is
things
it too
that
early
we take
to
for
share some
granted.
of the findings?
No, not really.
Okay, all right.
Not really.
What are the recurring themes that you're seeing?
Okay, so the recurring theme would be that young people are yearning to talk about their mental health, but I feel like generations before them do not understand mental health the way that they do. They are yearning to talk about their mental health, but they are scared of what their parents will say or how they'll receive it. So they've asked me to include parents.
Wow.
Yeah, they're yearning for places to go and meet and talk about their mental health. So far we've been meeting in community centers, where they do their recreation.
Yes.
So they want to have a platform for mental health. They've got the basketball, they've got everything going on there, but they also want space to talk about their mental health. So if anyone out there is listening and they want to sponsor that, our communities need mental health, and young people really, really want a space to get healing.
Yeah. So maybe let's talk to the parents, because I'm one of those culprits as well, where I look at some of the things that my daughter's going through and I'm thinking, you have it pretty, you have it easy. What is a problem to her is not a problem to me. How do you approach something like that as a parent? To make them feel validated, or and to make them think that it's okay. Talk to us about how we can approach those situations as parents.
So I feel like we need a whole day to unpack that. But what I've tried to do with parents would be to give them education so that they understand what the young people are going through, would not be kusitisa, and they're not being lazy when they can't get out of their bed, and so those misconceptions, right? We spoke about the anxiety attacks. If someone is going to write an exam and they're panicking, they're hyperventilating, maybe that's not necessarily a demon. That's a child just saying, I've been studying for too long and I need to stop, or I need to breathe. So psychoeducation is really important for the parents, for them to understand the different conditions and how they manifest in their young people.
So what gives you hope? It looks like your daily work can be draining. You are saying you worry about me because I'm taking yours are worse, because at least I can choose. I can pick and choose my battles. But it seems like you're drenched into this work. So what gives you hope in the research that you're doing, in the conversations with the young people? What are you seeing emerge? What are the green shoots, the good things?
I'm a sponge, yes. I listen to people the whole day. What gives me hope, Tari, is when someone comes to me and says, Tari, you probably don't remember me, but you helped me 10 years ago. And I've been doing so well. So knowing that the interventions that we're trying to introduce help really gives me hope.
Okay.
I just pray that, more and more of us get to use evidence-based interventions.
Okay.
Because therapy that's done badly can cause more harm than good. So to researchers out there, clinicians out there, let's do things properly. And sometimes doing things properly slows you down, because after your master's, you have to learn how to do things practically. And that can, sometimes take away energy. And people tend to do shortcuts, which is not really nice, because if you go to therapy and it's done badly, then you tell the next person that therapy doesn't work. So what gives me hope is that we have evidence-based interventions in Zimbabwe. And as the University of Zimbabwe, where I work as well in research, we've tried to culturally adapt these interventions so that they are specific for our populations and that they work for us. So there are interventions out there that our clinicians now need to learn and employ so that, everyone heals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. So what is the future looking like for your personal work and for the mental health space in general?
Okay, so I am just finishing off my PhD this year. Thank you.
So is it safe to start calling you doctor?
Yeah, just
Not
let's
yet.
wait for,
Okay.
for the ugly red cap. I think doing more work with young people because that's where my heart is.
Yeah.
I feel like most of the mental health problems will start in the second decade of life. So if we're able to do things properly with the young people, we create a healthier adulthood.
I see.
This is why I'm very passionate about mental health in young people.
Okay.
So yeah, that's where I see myself going, doing more there. I hope Out of the Shadows continues. Yeah, so that young people have a space to talk at least.
Yeah.
And that, us as adults will listen.
So where can people find you? For those of those that are listening and maybe want to get in touch with you or some of the work that you can do, where do they find you?
Okay, so I've got a private practice in Borodale called Mind and Heart Wellness Center. And I'm also doing my research work at the University of Zimbabwe. So I have an office at the Barenyata Hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It's been such a pleasure. It's always a good thing to have a conversation with you. You always pick my brain in one way or the other. And I'm sure there's a project coming out of these conversations.
Yes. Yeah.
We were chatting with Tarisai Bere on creative economy conversations, soon to be doc.
Yes.
On ZFM Stereo. Thank you so much for your time. Do you have any parting words before we go?
My parting words would be, to everyone listening, there is all hope out there. Let's take care of ourselves. Let's not just take care of our physical health. I see lots of people doing marathons and, going to the gym to take care of the physical health, but we leave the mental health out. Mental health is just as important as your physical health. So please take care of yourself.
So good. Maybe we need a mental health gym or something,
Yes.
where people can just come and
flex the muscle.
flex the mind muscles.
The mind muscle.
That's an opportunity waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Let's watch the space. Tari, it's been such a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for taking the time out to come and chat with us this evening. And we'll continue the conversation on YouTube if you want to catch up on what we've been talking about. We've been talking to Tarisai Bere, who's a clinical psychologist based here in Harare, on creative economy conversations. So do stay tuned. Thank you for having us. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.